Imagine arriving on a tiny island where the weather is warm and the air smells fresh. You hear soft voices and music in the distance. Bright lights shine everywhere, and people smile as they walk by. This is Singapore, a small country that feels like a friendly, happy place. It's so small that you could walk across it in about an hour. But don't be fooled. This little island is one of the richest countries in the world. You might wonder, how did such a small place become so powerful and successful? It feels almost magical, like something out of a storybook. But the truth is, it wasn't luck. It was hard work, smart planning, and big dreams that turned Singapore into what it is today. As you take a deep breath and look around, you notice how peaceful everything feels. People seem relaxed and at ease. It's not noisy or rushed like many big cities. The streets are clean, and the sky turns a soft pink as the sun sets. Even the sky looks like it belongs in a well-organized painting. It feels like Singapore is quietly telling you its story, inviting you to take your time and discover more. Now imagine going back 200 years. It's the early 1800s, and the air is hot and salty near the sea. You hear wooden ships creaking and see boats from India and China arriving. Workers are carrying crates filled with spices, tea, and silk. The smell of cloves and curry fills the air. Singapore's deep natural harbor was perfect for large ships to stop safely. Because it sits between India and China, it became a busy port. Even before airplanes or trains, ships could stop here easily to trade goods. You can picture yourself standing there, watching ships unload, feeling like an explorer in a buzzing market full of life. In 1819, everything changed. A British man named Sir Stamford Raffles came to the island. He saw great promise in this place. Raffles decided to set up a trading post here, which later became part of the British colony. Why did he choose Singapore? Because it had a great harbor. It wasn't controlled by other powers, and it was in the perfect spot to compete with older trade routes. Imagine Raffles pointing at a map and saying, "This is the place." He knew Singapore could be important, and he made a big decision that shaped the country's future. It was like fate stepping in under the hot sun, guiding Singapore towards success. Singapore may be small in size, but its history is full of big dreams and bold moves. From a quiet trading post to one of the richest and most modern countries in the world, Singapore's journey shows that size doesn't matter when you have vision, hard work, and smart choices. Walking its streets today, you can still feel the mix of old history and new energy. It's a place that proves big things can start from the smallest spots on the map. Today, Singapore is full of tall glass buildings, busy airports, and luxury hotels. But long ago, it was just a small fishing village. The country grew slowly over many years, especially during the British rule. Its location on the main sea trade route helped it a lot. Ships from all over the world passed by, bringing goods, people, and ideas. That was the start of its amazing journey. There's an old story about how Singapore got its name. A prince once saw a lion here, or at least thought he did. He named the place Singapura, which means Lion City in Sanskrit. Even though lions never lived in Singapore, the name stayed. Today, the Merlion statue, a mix of a lion and a fish, stands near the waterfront. It's a symbol of the city and its roots. Some people even joke that the Merlion seems to wink at you, reminding you to keep chasing your dreams. It's a quiet but powerful symbol of how far Singapore has come. In 1965, Singapore became an independent country. At that time, it was very small, almost the size of a city park, and had fewer than 2 million people. It had no oil, no gold, and no big farmlands. Just sand, water, and dreams. Imagine the pressure. A brand new country with very little to depend on. Still, Singapore's leaders and people didn't give up. They made brave and smart decisions. They knew they couldn't rely on nature, so they decided to rely on brains, skills, and planning. That mindset changed everything. One of Singapore's smartest choices was to stay open to the world. It became a global hub for trade. With no natural resources, they focused on business, shipping, and services. Today, Singapore's port is one of the busiest in the world. It's like a giant machine that keeps moving day and night. Containers filled with goods come in and go out like clockwork. This nonstop trading became the heartbeat of the country. Step by step, this helped build wealth and trust across the world. Singapore became known for its honesty, speed, and smart rules for business. People everywhere started to see it as a reliable partner in trade. Now, Singapore is one of the richest countries in the world. It has the second highest GDP per person globally. That means, on average, people in Singapore earn more than most others around the world. Some even say it's the richest country when you consider the cost of living. All this money didn't come from digging up oil or growing crops. It came from trading, banking, finance, and technology. Singapore's people believed in their country and worked hard. Their courage, planning, and discipline brought success. It's a great lesson. You don't need size or natural wealth to succeed. You need vision and effort. Singapore's journey shows us that even the smallest countries can rise to great heights. It had almost nothing in the beginning, but through wise choices and the bravery of its people, it became a global leader in trade and finance. From a humble fishing village to a modern powerhouse, Singapore proves that dreams backed by hard work can turn into reality. If Singapore can do it, so can you, with courage, planning, and belief in yourself. After becoming independent in 1965, Singapore faced many serious problems. There were not enough jobs, and housing was poor. Many families lived in small wooden huts called kampongs. Roads were made of mud, and children ran around barefoot, playing near chickens. It was hot, humid, and daily life was very tough. Looking at black and white photos from that time, it's hard to imagine this is the same clean and modern Singapore we see today. But change came slowly and surely, and it all started with a clear plan. Give people better homes and good jobs. If you could walk through the streets of 1960s Singapore, you would hear many sounds together. Prayer calls from mosques, bells from churches, and gongs from temples. You see smoke rising from small charcoal stoves. The air would carry the smell of food like laksa and curry. It was a mix of cultures, but people lived in poor conditions. The government knew things had to change. They couldn't let people continue to live in unsafe, crowded homes. So they began to build new flats and create jobs. The change started fast. The government built thousands of new apartments called HDB flats. At first, only a few families moved in. But soon, many people left their old wooden huts and shifted into clean, strong buildings with proper toilets, fridges, and running water. It was a huge relief for families who had been living in cramped and muddy huts. By the end of 1965, Singapore had already built over 50,000 flats and helped rehouse nearly 23% of its people. These flats looked like giant Lego blocks across the city. With every new flat, hope was growing, brick by brick. Starting in 1968, the government did something even smarter. It allowed people to use their CPF, Central Provident Fund, savings to buy their HDB flats. That meant instead of paying rent forever, people could slowly become owners of their own homes. For many families, this was life-changing. Imagine finishing school and already having paid half the cost of your future flat. Many young people did just that. Their monthly salary became a slow but steady step toward homeownership. Over time, the idea of renting faded, and people proudly owned the places they lived in. Today, around 80% of Singaporeans live in HDB flats. That's 8 out of every 10 people. Public housing is so common that it almost feels like everyone's grandmother lives just a few floors above. A local joke says HDB stands for Housing Dazzles Beautifully, because these homes made life better for millions of people. This close living also created strong communities. People grew up together, helped each other, and stayed connected. Even though Singapore is now a busy and modern city, it still feels like one big neighborhood. Singapore's story shows us that change doesn't happen overnight. It happens step by step, flat by flat, job by job. From wooden huts to modern apartments, the journey was not easy, but it was possible. The government focused on helping its people first. That care, planning, and hard work helped families live better lives. Today, Singapore is proof that when a country supports its people, great things can happen. And maybe that's the real magic of this little island. After building homes, Singapore turned its attention to something just as important: jobs. It wasn't easy, but with smart planning, patience, and a little humor, Singapore created a strong economy where people from all backgrounds could work, grow, and laugh together. Imagine standing in a factory near Singapore's harbor in the 1970s. You see rows of workers carefully putting tiny parts together. They're building radios, TVs, and circuit boards. Everyone is focused, even the youngest workers learning step by step. Singapore invited big companies to build factories, especially in electronics. In the beginning, the work was simple, tightening screws and handling wires. But like learning to read, things got harder over time. By the 1990s, workers were making tiny computer parts. Singapore had become a major hub for tech manufacturing. Watching this progress reminds you that with patience and hard work, anyone can learn a new skill, even you. As factories grew, so did another part of Singapore, its financial district. In the 1990s, you could see shiny glass skyscrapers with names like DBS, Citibank, and Standard Chartered. Inside, cool air-conditioned banks were filled with people in suits, trading stocks, and handling big deals. Singapore made it easy for global companies to come in. Low taxes, simple business rules, and almost no corruption made it one of the best places in the world to start a business. Foreign banks and tech firms felt welcomed, and jobs in finance and technology quickly increased. This smart move helped Singapore grow strong, even during tough times in the global market. The country became like a tall oak tree, steady, deep-rooted, and not easily shaken. If you're dreaming of a future career, Singapore's story might inspire you to stay honest, work hard, and aim high. In Singapore, it's not just about work. People also come together over food. In a busy hawker center, you'll find everyone, bankers, teachers, shopkeepers, sharing tables and enjoying delicious noodle soup, chili crab, or satay. These food courts are more than just places to eat. They are where communities bond. In fact, Singapore's hawker culture is so special that UNESCO named it a World Heritage Treasure. That means local dishes like chicken rice or laksa are as valuable as ancient books or temples. This shows something powerful. No matter how modern or busy life gets, people still make time to eat together. It builds a sense of unity, where all races and classes feel equal, even if just for lunch. Singapore is also a beautiful mix of people. Most are Chinese, about 76%, followed by Malays, 15%, and Indians, 0.7%. The rest are from many other places. Malay is the national language, but English is used in business, and Mandarin and Tamil are also official languages. You might hear a family speak English at home, switch to Hokkien with their grandma, then order lunch in Malay. It's like living in a language rainbow. Being different is normal here, and that makes Singapore strong. Singapore is famous for its clean streets and strict rules, but they also know how to laugh. There's even a rule banning durians, the smelly king of fruits, on trains and buses. You'll see signs saying, "No durians," and locals often joke about it. Some say Singapore is so clean, even the fruit has manners. This sense of humor makes life brighter. Singaporeans respect order, but they still enjoy fun moments. It reminds us all to stay lighthearted, even in serious times. Singapore's success isn't just in its skyscrapers or strong economy. Its true power lies in the people, the factory workers and bankers, the food stall owners and school kids, all working together. Whether building circuit boards or sharing noodles, they show how a small country can dream big and stay united. And through it all, they keep smiling, laughing, and respecting one another. Maybe that's the best lesson Singapore gives. Grow strong, stay kind, and don't forget to laugh, even about fruit. Today, when you walk through Singapore, it feels like a city from the future. It's clean, calm, and green, even with all its tall buildings and busy roads. Singapore didn't just grow, it bloomed. What was once a quiet island has now become one of the most modern and peaceful places in the world. As you explore, you see not just the shine of skyscrapers, but the gentle beauty of nature around every corner. It makes you think, maybe cities don't have to be only about concrete and traffic. They can be gardens too. In Singapore, even the streets seem to behave. Cars stop quietly at red lights. You barely see any trash on the ground. One morning, you spot a rubber duck floating on the road. Then it's gone, like magic. You laugh and imagine that even a rubber duck could relax here without a care. Trees stand tall along the roads, and gardens bloom between buildings. You smell flowers and street food at the same time. A breeze carries the scent of satay being grilled. Even in the middle of a busy city, Nature is never far away. You feel peaceful, like the city is giving you a gentle hug. Then, your eyes catch one of Singapore's most famous landmarks, Marina Bay Sands. It looks like 3 tall towers holding up a giant boat. It's funny to imagine it taking selfies with the stars. This building even watched over a Formula One race held at night, with cars speeding below its glowing lights. Close by is a magical place called Gardens by the Bay. You walk under glowing tree-shaped towers, past flowers from all over the world. Inside a huge glass dome, waterfalls fall gently, and rare plants bloom quietly. It feels like you've stepped into a dream. Singapore is truly the garden city, and it shows in every detail. The national flower is the orchid Vanda Miss Joaquim. It blooms all year, even in tough weather. That little flower tells a big story about strength, beauty, and not giving up. It reminds you, if a flower can bloom in hard times, maybe people can too. As your journey continues, you imagine hopping into a cab to Changi Airport. But this is no ordinary airport. Changi is often called the world's best. It has butterfly gardens, movie theaters, and even a huge slide. Some tourists joke that they came to Singapore but never left the airport. It's that amazing. It teaches something important. Even an airport, usually just a stop along the way, can be made beautiful. It shows how Singapore adds care and joy to every space, even places people often rush through. At night, the city lights shine across the bay like glitter. You remember, Singapore didn't always have this much land. In fact, they made more land by building into the sea. The country is now bigger than before. Almost the size of Manhattan was added. It's like Singapore is quietly building the stage for its next big performance. And that's the real message here. You don't need a huge space to grow. With the right steps, smart ideas, and strong dreams, you can build your own future, just like Singapore did. Singapore is more than just a city with tall buildings. It's a place that blends nature, planning, and big dreams into one beautiful package. From glowing gardens to the cleanest streets, from peaceful parks to exciting towers, Singapore proves that any place, even one without much land or resources, can become extraordinary. It reminds you that every corner of life can be made better with care, creativity, and effort. If Singapore can turn even its airport into a magical place, imagine what you can build with your dreams. Singapore is known for its clean streets, high-tech buildings, and smart planning. But even in this bright and modern city, life isn't always easy. Behind the success are challenges like high costs, quiet streets, and an aging population. Still, there's a lesson in how Singapore handles these issues, with balance, humor, and a lot of planning. As you walk through the city, you start to see both sides, its beauty and its burden, and maybe learn something for your own life too. In Singapore, cars are super expensive. To own one, you must first buy a special permit called a Certificate of Entitlement COE. Today, it can cost as much as 146,000 Singapore dollars. Some people even joke that BMW stands for Bring More Wealth. The prices are so high that it feels like even bicycles need loans. But this teaches a lesson. Small savings today can bring big rewards tomorrow. Like planting a seed and waiting for fruit, Singaporeans save carefully and invest in the future. You feel inspired. Maybe you can also start saving a little each day, even if your goals seem far away. Even though homes in Singapore are pricey, many people manage to buy their own flats thanks to the Central Provident Fund CPF. Since 1968, workers could use the saving system to pay for housing. As a result, many young adults finished school already having part of their home paid for. You smile, thinking about how even the trees in Singapore seem planted with care for future shade. Still, you notice the gap. Some people live in fancy condos with sea views, while others stay in simple HDB flats. The city has many millionaires, but not everyone is rich. This makes you pause. Can everyone share in the good life? It's a real question here. But again, you see a lesson. When you plan wisely and think ahead, even modest dreams can come true. People in Singapore follow rules seriously. There's even a saying, even the cockroaches pay rent. It means everyone must do their part. It might seem funny, but it also shows how fair the system tries to be. Singapore is also very peaceful, but some say it's a little too quiet. Free speech is more limited, and people choose order over open arguments. You joke that even the street lamps seem so polite they might fine you for walking wrong. Still, things are changing. People now speak up more, and that includes leaders too. In 2024, Singapore got a new prime minister, Lawrence Wong. He's not from a rich or powerful background. In fact, he used to teach math and even plays guitar. Many people felt hopeful. If he can do it, maybe I can too. It shows that even in a serious city, fresh voices can rise. It may take time, but change is starting. You feel inspired. Maybe one day your voice can help shape the future too. As you walk around, you notice many older people waiting for buses or walking slowly through parks. Singaporeans live long lives, about 83 years on average, but they're also having fewer babies. That means more seniors and fewer young kids. You laugh. At least I'll never do math homework alone. There will always be a grandparent nearby. But seriously, this raises an important question. Who will take care of the elderly in the future? Singapore, as always, is planning ahead. It's building support systems and encouraging young people to care for aging parents. You feel moved. Maybe you can do the same for your own family too. Singapore may be small, but its story is full of big lessons. It teaches us that progress comes with challenges, and success doesn't mean everything is perfect. Still, through smart savings, strong planning, and kindness toward others, a nation can stay strong and united. From expensive cars to careful care for elders, Singapore reminds us that balance matters. Maybe if you save, plan, and help those around you, your life can bloom too, just like an orchid in the heat. And maybe one day, your quiet voice will grow into something powerful. As you sit near the water, looking at Singapore's skyline, you feel peaceful, but then remember something important. Even a city this strong has challenges. The biggest one may come from nature itself. Experts say that by the year 2100, the sea might rise by 1 meter. That's enough to flood many parts of Singapore. For a country built right next to the sea, that's a serious danger. But Singapore isn't ignoring it. Instead, it's getting ready. The government is planning massive seawalls and barriers to protect the island. These look like giant concrete dragons guarding the shore. The Prime Minister even said the country may spend 100 billion Singapore dollars to stay safe from rising water. It feels like a race against time. But instead of feeling scared, you feel hopeful. Because when people work together with smart planning, they can solve even big problems like this. As you look around at the tall buildings and clean parks, you wonder, what's next? Will Singapore keep growing and staying successful? Or will rising seas and competition from other countries change things? You realize something powerful. The secret to Singapore's success may not just be money or technology. It might be adapting, changing when needed, learning and improving all the time. That's a good lesson for your own life too. Change will come. But if you keep learning, keep growing, and stay strong, you'll be ready for it. As your journey through Singapore ends, you feel proud and inspired. This city was not built by chance. It was built with smart ideas, hard work, and courage. From building homes, inviting businesses, and keeping streets clean, to fighting rising seas, Singapore has always looked ahead. It's not magic. It's strategy and spirit. This small city has taught you something big. You don't need to be large to dream big. With effort, any dream can grow. You lean back on the bench, smile at the view, and feel thankful. Thank you for walking through Singapore's story. Whether it was stories about housing, food, business, or the sea, this little country had something to teach us. Most of all, it reminds us that anything is possible when we plan, work hard, and believe in what we're building. Remember this whenever you feel unsure. Even the strongest cities started with simple ideas. Maybe your next big step is just one small choice away. So stay curious, stay kind, and keep dreaming.